Hi, it's Artie from Brown Bear Herbs. I wanted to share a little bit about burdock with you, also known, or its Latin name is Arctium Lappa. I love burdock. It is a great food herb. I love it topically in oil, and I love it as a tincture. So those are my favorite ways of using it. I also, when I first got to know burdock, I used it as a tea. So it works great that way. And I'll just go into the different ways that I feel like you can use burdock. As a food, it's really wonderful for helping with fat digestion. So it's used in Japanese cooking historically, and then it's a root vegetable, so that makes it nice around the holidays when we're eating a lot of fatty food, or some of us are. 99% of people are eating lots of fatty food. I've made burdock gravy many, many years, and that has been totally delicious and really good for dealing with those, dealing with all the fat that you're consuming, and just helping that slide on through, get all the good stuff out of it, and let it go. And then okay, so burdock is something I consider for a client or a patient or myself if there is dryness related to oil in the body. So it's good for helping with oils, and it tends to lubricate. So if you have, the first way I used it was for asthma, and I wouldn't say this was like the top asthma remedy that I think of, but actually at the time, in hindsight, it was a really good fit for just being soothing and palliative. So if you have asthma that's related to dry conditions, like dry heat sources in the winter, or desert climate, something like that, then you could try drinking burdock tea or taking the tincture. I think either would be fine. Although if you're drinking the tea, you get the benefit of steam as well if you're having that dryness. It is an herb that I think of as good for dryness related to oil, but it is also good for people who have dry skin and are retaining water. And burdock has great effects on the liver and some also on the kidneys. Generally for the kidneys, you want to use the seed, but I feel like the root also has some benefit on the kidneys, and it is a great skin herb. So if you have dry, irritated heat, or like dry inflammation in your lungs, and that's causing asthma or sinus infections or irritation, then you could try burdock for bringing more lubrication and calming, and thereby calming that dry inflammation down. Other common uses, or other times when I find it really helpful, are dry joints. A lot of times as people age, their joints get stiffer, and they can have more discomfort when they're not moving. So like if you wake up in the morning and you're stiff, then you can try burdock. It's so like maybe like considered a mild arthritis. Just maybe you wouldn't even call it that, but you just have some stiffness, and that's when you're experiencing soreness in your joints. If you're worse from inactivity with your joints, burdock, which you could take internally as a tincture, which is alcohol-based typically. You could take it as a tea. You could take it as an oil, which I will go into more. Or rhus tox, the homeopathic poison ivy, for that same arthritis and worse from inactivity. And then bryonia, homeopathic, if it's worse from movement. And I definitely have had quite a few clients that have had a lessening of their discomfort with that. And it's such a simple remedy. Since it's a food herb, you know that you can take a lot of it, and it's not likely to cause problems. So that's a great, if you're concerned about the safety of an herb, and you know that people have been historically eating it in large quantities, like basil and pesto, or anything that they make jams out of, like raspberries, blackberries, and burdock. There's so many that calendula, that's something that's traditionally used in soups. Nettles, traditionally used in soups. So there's a lot of herbs that might not be what you commonly think of as a food, but if it's been historically used as a food, then you can feel pretty comfortable eating it and serving it to your children. There's only a few herbs that are not recommended for small children. Burdock's great for children. Just munch it up. My daughter really enjoyed burdock gravy for sure. So then it really helps, like I said, with the fat digestion. And one of the side effects, I most often recommend burdock not for constipation, but for other uses like lubrication on skin stuff, because it's so helpful for skin stuff. But before I go into that skin stuff, which you can treat internally or topically, I will just say that what a side effect of burdock or another use of burdock is helps you poop. So if you're having constipation, you can try burdock. I really like it if you're having constipation related to vata, which is in the Ayurvedic system, that's related to your coldness and dryness in the body. So if it's winter and it's cold and dry, and you're having constipation, I would recommend burdock as just an easy thing to try. And you could eat it, or you could take a tincture or tea. Or if you're traveling, that raises vata too, because anything that really throws off your schedule, like if you're traveling a lot or you're having to change your work schedule and that causes you to have constipation, something that reduces vata, like a diet that reduces vata or an herb that reduces vata could be really helpful. And so if you're the type of person who gets constipated whenever you go on a trip, then I would bring some, I like burdock and ashwagandha. They're both very lubricating and calming to vata. So they'll treat the vata, which can also feel like you're kind of like stressed out and harried and maybe not sleep well, insomnia. They'll treat those symptoms, but you also have nice, great poops. So, and it's not the type of herb, like if you don't have anything to poop out, burdock will not make you have like stomach cramps or anything like that. It's not going to make poop happen out of thin air. So, but if you do have poop inside of you that needs to come out, it'll come out in a really nice, easy way, and you'll be done. So if you're like going on a regimen, have, like your herbalist or myself, or you decide on your own for some reason that you want to take burdock for a long time period, like 6 weeks or something, you'll probably see the most poop or like the most like healthy cleaning out in the first maybe like several days. And so, or if you're going off and on it, then you'll see more of that. But if you're going, like I said, it's not making it happen out of thin air. So if you continue taking it, you're not going to be having stomach trouble. You're not going to be having huge poops. You're just going to have normal poops. And yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about the skin stuff. Used for eczema, psoriasis, it's really nutritive too. It just is so good at dealing with balancing of oils and dryness. And so I loved it. I've used it at different times for months for just make an oil out of the root. And so the way that I would do that is if it's summer and you have sunshine, that's perfect. You can chop up organic root from the grocery store, or you can order dry root from the, actually for making an oil, it's preferred that you use dry root. But if you're going to use it quickly, you can get away with using the fresh root. Fresh root has water content in it, and if you use that, then it'd be more likely to go rancid faster. So if you're using it for yourself, you're making a small quantity, I wouldn't stress about it. I would just be happy that you have something fresh and organic at your fingertips if you have a Whole Foods nearby or something like that. They often have it year round. Otherwise, the dry root is always available online or whatever, or at your local herb store. So I would put that in a jar, fill it up maybe like 2/3 of the way with dried burdock, chopped or ground powder would be great. The more surface area you have, the better, so you can get the most out of the plant. And then cover it with a nice quality oil. you could use, if you're trying to tone down vata, you could use sesame oil, not toasted, just regular organic sesame oil. If you are, if you prefer like a sunflower oil or an olive oil, you could do that. You will smell a little bit like it. The burdock itself doesn't have a strong scent. I find it very neutral, so I don't feel like if I use it on my skin, I have a too earthy of a smell or anything. Yeah, so you cover the oil, fill the whole jar up with oil. So you got 2/3 with the herb, and then you just soaking that in oil all the way up to like near the top of the jar is how I would do it. If it's summer, you can leave it in the sun, or if you have sun year round. We don't have that so much in Oregon, but if you do have sun, then you can leave it in the sun for 2 weeks. If you're short on sunlight, then you could put it in a warm spot, like on your stove top, like just leave the oven light on is a trick that you can use, and maybe take it off if you're cooking a lot of stuff, but you could put it right back on as soon as the burners are off, just to keep it like warm, but not cooking the oil or the herb. Anyways, after the 2 weeks, you can strain it out. You can use if you are using ground root, you're going to need a cloth, a cheesecloth or something, or like a muslin, most likely, to let it slowly drip through and then squeeze it out. And then if you're just using the chopped root, then you could get away with a sieve. Yeah. And so then if you wanted to make that into a salve, like if you were having like boils or like cystic acne or something like that, where it's like dry on the outside and the oil's not coming to a head, it's like your pores are not opening up enough, then you might want to make a salve of that. And to do that, it's very simple. You get some beeswax. I'm not sure how you would do it in a vegan way, but if you're not concerned about that, you get some beeswax, and then you basically just slowly like mildly heat the oil after it's been strained, and then just like barely heat it so that the beeswax is going to melt. And then you add in little bits of beeswax, let it melt, and then you put take a couple drops of the oil out and put it onto like a hard surface, like a spoon or something, and let it cool, like your stove's still on, like on a low level or whatever. You let it cool, and then you see if that's consistency that you want your salve to be. So then if you need more, then you add more beeswax, and you keep doing that to make your salve. But if you just want an oil, then you're done. And the way I like to use the oil is just, if you can do it twice a day, that's great. Or once a day, that's great. You can use it right before or right after a shower. If you use it before, then I find like texturally it's a little bit strange, but the water of the shower kind of like makes it permeate your skin a little bit more. And then if you use it right after the shower, then it's a nice substitute for a lotion. And it just makes your skin like super healthy and wonderful. So that's a fun home project for anybody who feels like they have some like of the main skin issues with that burdock is helpful for, or joint issues. If you're rubbing that all over your body, I think it will help like lubricate those joints. It'll just seep in through your skin, and you'll have more mobility and feel better when you wake up in the morning. Just to reiterate, the skin issues that I would try this oil for are dry skin, and especially if you're retaining water. Acne, like you're just not using your oils right in your body. Boils, like that, you got like a large thing going on underneath the surface and your skin's not opening it up. Eczema, psoriasis, I see like a kind of like that. I've seen this on so many patients, but like it's kind of like a tightness to the skin. like it's not opening up, or too oily. So it's kind of regulating things so that they're at a more harmonious place. And then, yeah. And just in general, like I really recommend using oil before or after a shower once or twice a day. Oil application, that's like an Ayurvedic technique. So you don't have to take a shower twice a day or even once a day, but you applying the oil like with a little bit of massage all over your body is really great for your skin anyway. So this is just like a bonus ingredient to put in there. Yeah. So so it's generally, I think of the number one way I think of burdock is liver herb. So making your hormones, making your liver feel better, which is going to help with your hormones and fat digestion. And then those other uses, skin stuff and pooping and joint stuff, it's kind of like, I think of those as kind of like bonus stuff. But I think these days, like pretty much everybody needs a little liver love. So if you've got a liver and you're living in our modern world, I don't think burdock would hurt. It might not be the best herb for you, but I don't think it's going to do anything to harm you. So try it out as fun home projects for your skin, or fun recipes, Japanese, or in gravies, or root roasts. And let me know what you think. If you're using it for specifically you want to poop and you're going to try it, I recommend 60 to 90 drops a day. I think that is plenty. And so that's like a more of a material dose, which you can get away, which I recommend only for herbs that tend to be for like acute conditions or food herbs. So otherwise I tend to recommend drop doses of like 5 to 10 drops, 15 drops is more my style. And I find that works really well for people. But for this, I would recommend higher dosage. Anyways, enjoy the burdock. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell for notifications.